Extreme Anime Radio.
What was that?
My phone. My phone is playing random videos on Facebook. I hate it.
Okay.
And with that,
are we actually on the air,
yes,
boss?
we are. We
Oops.
are.
Well,
Live podcasting, there's nothing like it, folks.
I'm going to throw my phone out the window now.
What have I walked back into?
Oh boy! I guess in that instance, Neff, you haven't missed anything.
I was going to say, some things I've missed, some things apparently I haven't, including, live bloopers.
But let's go with the formalities. From somewhere, wherever I am right now, to people watching on Twitch, people listening to us on Spotify, hopefully all over the world. Welcome to the Extreme Anime Radio Podcast. I don't know what season this is. I don't know what episode this is. All I know is it's the return of the Nef. Here he is, Mr. NefCanuck. Greetings, sir, and welcome back.
Yes, thank you. I'm back, mostly in one piece, except I'm put together a little bit differently than I was the last time we were all together.
Yes, we're going to get into all that in the time that we have tonight. And also joining us really at the last minute, so I want to thank them, even considering that they're getting ready for a big convention this weekend. It's MikaZelda. Hi, Mika.
Hello.
And Mika, of course, has been co-hosting a few XAR podcasts with me, Neff, in your absence. So I want to thank Mika once again for pinch hitting for you. And Mika, while you're here, what would you like to say to Neff as we welcome him back to the air?
I am glad you're doing well as you can be, and it's great to have you back.
It's great to be back. Unfortunately, where I was located for 90 days, it was not possible to listen to any of the podcasts as they were being broadcast, nor was I able to catch up on them. Because unfortunately, I was in a center where the average age of the inhabitants was, let me put it this way, north of 70.
Mm-hmm.
I was one of the younger ones.
Oh boy, we have a hype train, by the way, because we have looks like Flax resubscribed, Bree resubscribed. Thank you guys for resubscribing, and yes, maybe we can get something going here with NefCanuck. Now, Mika is here in place of Shinigami Liz, who is not able to join us tonight because of a family emergency, so we hope Liz and her family are okay. Also, Bree, who just resubscribed, will also be joining us as the night goes on, or as the podcast goes on, if you will. The usual reminders, if you're watching us right now and you like to listen to us, hopefully we'll get this show to Spotify at some point. Spotify for podcasters at anchor.fm/anime radio. And if you're listening there, be sure to follow us at twitch.tv/extreme anime radio. We're trying to get the kinks worked out here still. 2 weeks down in my summer apartment. 6 weeks to go, because it's the first week of September I go back. And then after I go back, I don't know what the schedule is going to be, because there will be a little bit of an invasion later in September.
Indeed, and hopefully by that point, my place will be somewhat unruffled, shall we say?
Unruffled?
Let's put it this way. I came home to a stack of mail.
Uh-huh.
And 10 boxes of varying descriptions and things, including one box I will not be able to even open until I get help.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So, needless to say, I came home on the 17th, and it was like, I'm home. I look at my, inside my home, and I'm like, can I go back to the rehab center, like now?
Oh, jeez. You honestly felt like that, huh?
For about half a second, yeah. But then I realized what I'd be going back to. The beeping, the screaming, the rather strange residents.
I've been through beeping and strange residents when I got injured last year. But in my case, it was only 4 days.
This was 90 days of beeping. Strange residents included my first roommate, who was an elderly gentleman whose medical conditions basically had his own internal thermostat out of whack completely. He was constantly cold, no matter how much heat was in the room. Let's put it this way. At one point, I went through 2 nights straight of 74 Fahrenheit at night, and the heater blowing this hot air.
Oh, man.
By the third day, I literally rolled out of the room, because I was in a wheelchair at that point, and said to the program director, I can't take this. I will discharge myself. I cannot take this. I was dying, literally.
Oh, man.
Shortly thereafter, said roommate got transferred to the long-term care wing, which is where he should have been. But that was fun. And then there were some of the other residents in the rehab / long-term care wing, because apparently rehab and long-term care on the first floor shared rooms and shared roommates. One of whom I nicknamed Johnny Debris. What do I mean by Johnny Debris?
Yeah.
This gentleman had permission to leave the facility. He would go to a local Tim Hortons, usually the one in the hospital across the road from where we were. And he would drag all sorts of sugar packets, dripping coffee. You could literally watch him do this as he would shuffle back to his room. But that wasn't the worst of Johnny Debris' problems. Johnny Debris, there was a TV in the physio room. Now, notice I said the word was. That's an important thing. There was a TV in the physio room, and what Johnny Debris would do is show up while we were doing physio and turn the TV on and turn the volume as loud as he wanted, proceed to essentially fall asleep to it, and would just basically take over the room while we were trying to do physio. This went on for several weeks. At one point, the physio staff put reminders on the door that this is a physio room during these hours. Otherwise, you're free to watch TV. Johnny Debris didn't care. Johnny Debris twice went into the room during physio hours, turned on the TV. The second time was at 10 o'clock in the morning while we were doing more morning exercises. We all came back into the room intending to do our exercises. He has the TV blaring to CNN. The physio staff politely tell him to turn it down. He gets snippy and says, "Why don't you turn it off?" Cue me in the wheelchair. Slam the brakes on both wheels. Get out of the wheelchair, which at this point is still very difficult. Hobble to the TV, find the power button, click. And I said, "Now it's off." Johnny Debris didn't like that and left the room. Now, the overseer of the facility came in to talk to me and some of the other physio patients who were really, being annoyed by Johnny Debris. And we all said, look, if he would follow the rules, we don't care. But he doesn't follow the rules. And this is like the second time. Aside from the fact that he would at night, after physio was done, camp out there, leave coffee cups, leave his mess, which is why he got the nickname Johnny Debris. So apparently what happens next, I get told, is that he tries to badmouth me as the supposed leader of the triumvirate of people complaining about him, which doesn't go over well with the owner, with the person running the facility, because they've had problems with Johnny Debris before. So they decided to remove the problem by removing the TV. The best part was, as they were doing it that morning on Monday, Johnny Debris comes slithering along and literally sees the TV being removed, does a double take and a triple take, and then disappears. But that's not the end of the story. It gets better.
Is this
About a day or...
is this like a visual novel you're writing, Nef? Is this what's going to become?
Well, let me put it this way. The topper to all this was a couple of days later. We're coming back from dinner. Okay. There's a person in front of me who's slower with their wheelchair. I'm behind them. One of the PSWs, personal support workers, comes along to help the other person. Mm-hmm. And I hear a very familiar sound behind me. The sound of Johnny Debris. Because he doesn't lift his feet. He slides. And slides and slithers. You can hear him for a mile.
Wow.
So, what do? I turn on the recording function of my Apple Watch. And it's a good thing that I did. Because he turned around when he got close to me and called me something I cannot repeat on air.
Oh.
I asked him to repeat it. He said I won't do that. And I said, gee, I wonder why. Except the PSW heard him, and I had the recording. This went back to, the not the head of the program anymore, but the person under them, because, of course, the head of the program was not there at that point of the day. But it's like, no, Johnny Debris, you're just making yourself look worse. And I guarantee you, the day I left, he was probably going, how can I get the TV back in the physio room? That was probably, his only thought in his head. Because what he was doing after getting kicked out of the physio room and the TV being removed, he was going to the TV that was in the main lobby area, watching that, falling asleep, and basically annoyed because he couldn't control the remote anymore. Because there was another person there who had the remote in a death grip and would never let it go. So that's just one of the adventures. I mean, I have enough material literally to talk about. I could talk about this for like months because of the things that went on there. Because again, this was sold as a rehab center.
Yeah.
But it was more long-term care with some rehab mixed in, which is fine as long as you can do your rehab. But when you have problems with the long-term care residents,
I just think in my head right now, he slips and slides and curses like a tree, and thus is the ballad of Johnny Debris.
That's perfect, JR. That is perfect.
Salute.
Indeed.
Carla says, this type of stuff isn't supposed to happen. You are Canadians.
Yeah, but the problem is once you get to a certain age, I think, the Canadianisms tend to fall by the wayside because I can tell you that Johnny Debris was up there in age, and I can tell you that Johnny Debris basically was at the stage of his life where he was like, I don't care. Mm-hmm. So I look at it this way. I left the facility. He's there until the end.
My iPhone has been updated, Nef. Congratulations.
Okay, so now we only have to wait now until iOS 17 comes in September.
Which I probably won't upgrade to right away because I like to wait for all those bugs to get, worked out. You, on the other hand, just like to take the plunge, right?
I'm probably just going to buy a new phone first.
Oh, okay. Which will be upgraded anyway by the time you get it, right?
Exactly, and then just have to figure out how to upgrade the phone before I can. only because Apple has finally seen the light, and finally said, okay, we're killing the Lightning port, you get USB-C on your phone. So you can finally join the rest of the world.
Yeah, this might be the last one, right?
Yeah, the 14 is going to be the last one, apparently.
Yeah, it all stems back to the European ruling, like in the last year or two, that all cell phones have to have USB-C. So,
and they've recently made another ruling too, that by 2025, I think it was, all phones sold in the EU have to have user replaceable batteries.
Oh, how interesting!
Ooh.
Now, I think that's a good idea to a point, but then I'm also going, because now you've been making phones thinner and thinner and thinner.
Right.
And how are you suddenly going to slap a battery in there that is user replaceable?
Right.
You know, it's going to be this nice svelte phone with this fat battery. And I guess we can say, you know, it's all about the rear of the phone. You know what I mean?
Mika, what kind of person are you? Would you upgrade your operating system on the phone right away to the latest and greatest, or do you kind of wait?
I try to wait as long as possible until my phone starts to slow down. And then I said, okay, fine, it's time.
Right.
And usually that's like after it's had like a quick security update or something like that. But I'll wait until like it pushes a notification to me rather than getting it like, oh, the update dropped? Okay, let me go to my settings. No, I just wait for a push notification.
Okay. Yeah. A lot of phones are configured to operate like that if you tell it to, right? So.
Yeah. Like I think I have that setting, but the last time Chaos had issues with his phone, I found out that he doesn't have that setting set up. So he was complaining about his phone, and he has this stipulation that if the phone's not him proof for a year, because he has an iPhone 13 Pro Max. If it's not him proof, then he's going back to Android after a year. Well, he was like, "Oh, it's 9 months. My phone is slowing down. I'm gonna go back to Android when my year is up." I'm like, did you try updating your phone in software? He said, "What now?" And I'm like, "Yeah, update your phone and then come back." And then he just gave me a look. It's like, "You're right. Okay, we'll keep it going." He's gonna reach the year, and it's him proof. So I have successfully converted another person to iPhone.
When I visited with Mika, what was it, last month, right? Or 2 months ago?
About a month and a half ago, yeah.
Yeah. So, it was very convenient. I just went to the local Apple store and picked up my new phone.
Yep.
And then
because that's the only one in our area now. We used to have two.
No, that mall's pretty nice. They're still bustling, despite all the stories I hear about stores closing left and right still these days.
Yeah, they closed the other mall that was in the city that the Apple store was in.
I see.
And the city actually just bought the mall closest to me.
Oh, wow.
Because that mall is dying. The only thing that's really working for it right now is it's got a movie theater. Nothing. Like they just announced that our Dillard's is closing at this mall. So there's besides the movie theater, which technically isn't even an anchor store because there's no way for you to get to the theater from the outside. We have no anchor stores in that mall now. So if the city hadn't bought that building, it would have become a ghost town, and that theater would have left.
Oh man. But no, I'm still happy, Mika, that you have a lot of options where you are, and of course, nice to get around the area, except in the rush hour. And I kind of learned that the hard way where my hotel is. We are looking at some of these comments here in the chat, and also, Nef, we asked our followers on Instagram if they wanted to ask you any questions tonight. And we have a question from somebody we all know very well. Somebody's going to be helping us with a lot of Sarah and Umemi projects soon. That would be Keshocho. So I'd like to give a shout out to Keshocho. Keshocho's question to NefCanuck is, what have you missed while being away from XAR?
Well, I miss the people, of course. I also miss, being able to go to bed when I want to. To explain, there's lights out at this facility at 10, but because the majority of these people are in their 70s and up, like they're in bed by 7:30, 8 o'clock, right? Initially, that's when they were putting me to bed, and I was like, well, wait a minute here. I'm not sleeping. I'm literally laying here looking at the ceiling, counting ceiling tiles. Now, once my first roommate got transferred, I managed to negotiate 9 o'clock, which was not great, but still better, because I needed medications. The problem was I then had to move into another room with another roommate. Now, this roommate is a very nice gentleman. We've kept in touch, since I've been discharged. He's recovering from a major stroke. So he's actually younger than I am, which kind of frightened me in a way. But he basically physio and sleep. That's all he does. Mm-hmm. And because of the stroke, you want to sleep all the time. So essentially, as soon as dinner's over, he's being put to bed at like 7 o'clock. Mm-hmm. So I would just, stay out in the hall outside our room in the wheelchair and just, play with my iPad, play with my iPhone. Mm. I mean, kudos to the people who brought me my electronic toys, because if I didn't have them, I would have gone slightly insane.
Oh, man.
Especially because some of the residents would oddly fixate on certain things for Alexa to play. Mm-hmm. If I ever hear any music by John Denver ever again, I am going to commit suicide. Because not only were they playing it, they were singing along. And if they could at least somewhat carry a tune, it would be okay. But the majority of these people, when they sang, the local wildlife was going, it's just screeching and
we have to force you then, Neff, to watch Whispers of the Heart, that Ghibli movie that uses the Japanese version of Take Me Home Country Roads.
No. There was one particular rehab resident. She tries to sing that, and it sounds like somebody falling on broken glass repeatedly, over and over again. It's just horrible. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not perfect when it comes to my singing, but this is just like, you could use it to torture people. They would spill whatever secrets they had.
Yes.
Even ones you weren't asking for.
Yeah. Oh, we have responses in the chat. Introduce them to Lucky Star Charla Head Chala.
No. I did them one better. Remember that anime Yuri on Ice?
Yeah.
Oh,
Do you remember the opening number?
yes.
History. Da, 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 da.
Yeah, exactly. And the first time I played it, I was doing laps, walking, like to get my legs back under me in the dining room, doing laps. And I said, since there's an Alexa speaker here and there was nobody around, I just said, play that music, play History Maker. And the funny part is the physiotherapist then comes in as I'm doing like the fourth or fifth lap, and they actually liked it.
Oh, there you go.
Now, they know nothing about anime whatsoever, and I'll be honest with you, I made it perfectly, I played the normal person very well during my 90 days there. Mm-hmm. They had no idea. And so when it was time for me to select music for the group exercises at one point, I also chose History Maker. And in my head, I'm just going, I'm introducing you to anime and you don't even know it.
No, I want to get back to anime But right now, what has my attention, and I've told some people this, just on a whim, for the last week or so, I took one of the Apple gift cards that I've collected over the years from upgrading my iPhone, making purchases like my keyboard for the iPad and stuff during the Black Friday sales. And I plunked $35 down to buy the entire 120 episode series of the 1960s Batman.
Holy expenses, Batman.
I can't tell you how many Robin holy quips I've heard so far.
Yeah, I'll remind you that, of course, they were taking the comic book as it was in the 60s and just amping everything up to 11.
Oh yeah.
And it's really telling. Now, if you bought the digital version, you don't get the surprise bonus tracks, audio tracks. That is.
No, I don't think so.
Nope. Which means you don't get the joy of listening to Batman in Japanese.
What?
There is an unmarked track. If you have the Blu-rays, there's an unmarked audio track that is actually the Japanese dub.
You and I have to watch that if you have it on you.
I have it here, sir.
Bree's going to be excited.
I'm just going. I only listen to Batman for a minute or two, and I'm going. I'm scared what Robin's going to sound like. I'm really scared.
Oh boy, but no. It's been interesting days working up here, and sometimes I go insane. So. How do I wind down doing stuff like this and watching the Batman? I mean, it's nice to, watch an episode, go to bed, watch the next episode when I wake up before I go to work and see how it all resolves.
Yeah, I was going to say the first two seasons, they would show 2 episodes a week.
Yeah.
One was part 1, one was part 2. It was a third season, last season, where it went back to the formula of 1 episode a week.
Yeah.
Because they cut the budget at that point almost to nil.
Right. But no, this is making good progress here, definitely. I saw a reference from Flax in the chat about introduce the people you stayed with to X Japan Art of Life. Now, speaking of X Japan, that leads us into a little something that we actually spoke about off air before we came on board. One of the reasons why we cannot do a questions and comments slate at the end of this show is because we have to update several things now. One of which is the Twitter logo. No more birds, and in fact, it's kind of cycling here on the bottom of the screen too, so we're going to have to update that when Nerd or Die pushes out another update. Yes, this Twitter is now brought to you by the letter X in Sesame Street terms. And I was going to ask Mika to tell us the story about how X Japan plays into all of this.
So the Japan, very obviously, the Japan branch of Twitter is called Twitter Japan. Now that it has been changed to X, it is now called X Japan. So Yoshiki said, I thought there was already an X Japan. It's called this band that has been around for years.
Decades. So yes, now if you look at their Twitter/X handle, it just says Japan.
Yep.
Now, Nef, what were you going to add to that?
Well, I was going to say, and I'm going to preface this by saying I have now reduced Elon Musk to one of my many, witticisms. He is now known as Ding Dong DeCarlo because he's a ding dong. And it's like, okay, Ding Dong DeCarlo has basically tossed the brand recognition of Twitter away. They aren't even tweets anymore. They're exeats, I believe is the official term. Meanwhile, all the people he's fired, or tried to package out and then unpackage, are in the midst of suing this guy into the ground. And I'm going, if I wanted to put $44 billion, on fire, I could think of a million other ways to do that didn't make me go, does everything smell like ash around me? Ew, I don't like that smell.
Wonder what would happen if Ding Dong DeCarlo met Johnny Debris. What would happen?
Knowing what Ding Dong DeCarlo's been doing lately, including something that just happened today, he probably would give him a blue check mark for free. I'm sorry. Ding Dong DeCarlo's latest was a user was banned, an alt-right user was banned for posting illegal images. Elon has reversed that ban and simply deleted the images, except the images have already been dispersed, far and wide, as X is designed to do. So, yeah. Like I said, Ding Dong DeCarlo is just begging to be sued, begging for this whole thing to go bluey. I think he literally has a masochistic streak, and he just enjoys pain. Except the only pain he's going to feel now isn't going to be from somebody punching him in the face. It's going to be somebody punching him in the wallet. Hard.
Mika, NefCanuck is back. Do you agree?
I agree. I totally agree. And the other funny thing I find about this whole situation is on my browser, it is clearly over to the new graphics. It's an X logo and all that stuff. I'm looking at my phone, and it's still the bird. It's still Twitter on my phone.
Yeah.
And I just went into my app store. There's no update to change that yet.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
The latest update was a week ago. So I'm like, okay.
Okay, Ding Dong DeCarlo doing something in rational, step format. In other words, 1, 2, 3. No, he goes 1, 25, 35, 106, hike, and then throws the bomb.
I didn't say it was him doing it, because obviously he's going to tell people to do things when he wants to tell them to do things. I just find it really funny that I can still call what I post from my phone tweets until this app is updated.
Now I'm starting to experiment a little bit, thanks to Nef's help, with Blue Sky, which is I guess you want to call it a decentralized social media app, but it was created by Jack, the guy who created Twitter.
Yeah, and from what I can tell so far, it's a lot less, shall we say, polluted than Twitter has become.
Yeah.
And as long as they, reasonably moderate the thing and tell Ding Dong DeCarlo if he wants to get on to go, play with his Teslas, I think the place will thrive. The only fear, and I think it's a valid one, is that at some point the money to run this thing is going to have to come from ads.
Yeah.
And you know what? Ads, I'm on Reddit. There are ads there. I've gotten to the point where I can filter those out in my mind really quick as I'm scrolling through.
Yes.
So if Blue Sky has to go that route, fine. Now, if they offer a paid version that removes the ads,
I'd take that.
Maybe just to spite Ding Dong DeCarlo. I won't pay you the $8, but I'll pay these guys the $8.
Oh, yes. I'm going to repeat it. Elon Musk, or Ding Dong DeCarlo, as you wish to call him, only does a few things well. Twitter, he does Teslas well, he does rockets well, and I guess you could argue he does solar panels well. That's about it.
Okay, I'm going to back you up. His rockets explode.
Not all of them.
His cars catch fire occasionally. Now, to be fair, gas cars catch fire too. In fact, mine just got its second recall for the same problem, because Ford still hasn't figured out why, in the event of a crash, the oil and gas mixture gathers under the hood, and poof, you become the guest of honor at barbecue.
Oh boy, no, it's gonna be fun to take a spin in the new car once we get up there.
New, it's 3 years old now, pal.
Well, I don't think I've ridden in it, have I? No.
Nope. But it only has 13,000 kilometers on it too. So
Oh wow, I mean, come on.
yeah, it's pretty much a new car. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only problem is it needs more updates than the average Windows 11 machine.
Yeah. This is the Extreme Anime Radio podcast. Nef's return of the Nef, we're calling it. MikaZelda's with us as well, and Bree might be joining us. I see that she's active in the chat. Hello, Bree. So, yes, we're just having a fun evening, welcoming Nef back. Also giving thanks to Mika for everything they've done in the time the Nef's been in rehabilitation. Now, Mika, you were in a situation, was it yesterday or the other day, where you were attending a sporting event and it got interrupted?
This happened yesterday.
Okay.
So we have a local AAA affiliate of Major League Baseball here. They are the AAA affiliate of the Baltimore Orioles. So we took my nephew to a baseball game because the last time we went about 2 weeks ago, he was really sad because he never caught a foul ball.
Mm-hmm.
So he got really upset that he never got to get one. So we said, okay, in 2 weeks they're coming back, so we'll get tickets again because tickets are really cheap for minor league baseball.
Of course.
And we'll try again to get you a ball. We end up getting a ball, but not in the way you think. It wasn't a foul. It wasn't it wasn't a player tossing it over the netting over the dugout for him to catch.
Uh-huh.
This ball was thrown at a drone. So it's the second inning, and actually it's bottom of second because the Tides were at bat.
Right.
And we're just watching the game. I can't remember how many outs we had, but we were just watching the game. And all of a sudden, all of the players start leaving the field. Like the Nashville Sounds is who we were playing, and they went to their dugout.
Wow.
And the umpires started going to dugouts. I'm like, why are y'all leaving the field? I'm very confused. I look to the sky over the outfield, and there's a little black dot. And we're like, what is flying over there? And the people around me are like, that's a drone flying over there. It was out there for a good 10 minutes. Like, it was flying all over the field, like trying to get a look at the game.
Wow.
And at one point, somebody from Nashville's team threw a ball from their dugout straight over to try to hit the drone. It misses the drone wildly because the drone is just so high up in the air. You can only throw a ball so far when you're like aiming for something that high. And and what ended up happening is it hit the upper deck of seats, fell down and bounced into our section. So Chaos got up. Nobody was going after that ball. Chaos got up, grabbed the ball, and it was now my nephew's.
Wow.
And it was another 5 minutes before the drone finally flew away.
Oh, gee.
So we had a nice 15-minute delay because of a drone.
Drone interference.
Now, I'll only ask this because, this is the United States we're talking about here. Wasn't there one fan who would pull out their pistol or whatever they're carrying that day, whatever firearm they're carrying that day, and try to take this drone out?
You're right. Like, I think if it was like major leagues, then yeah, but we don't have I don't know if if Virginia has concealed carry, but they don't have metal detectors at this field. So I'm convinced that if someone did have a concealed carry and they brought their weapon into the baseball stadium, then it would be of use, but nobody thought about it, and the first projectile you could think of is a baseball. And I mean, perfect projectile there. It was just kind of like a bad angle.
Oh boy.
Well, that's all you'd get if you tried it up here. You know, you try to get a drone into Rogers Center or any of the minor league parks. Yeah, all you'd get is a baseball. You wouldn't actually get a weapon. I just figured United States, Second Amendment.
I mean,
our game here.
Ouch.
Ping.
I mean, you're not wrong. You are not wrong.
But no, that's one of the more interesting stories I've heard of this week, besides paying attention to ESPN's not top 10 list.
And funny thing is, they didn't even talk about it on the 11 o'clock news last night. Like, I stayed up to watch the 11 o'clock news, and it wasn't there. Like that's the most newsworthy thing when you have a 10-8 loss.
So very, very interesting evening for Mika. And Nef, you, I know, in your typical style, are paying attention to the sports news. I know Mika follows football a little bit as well. What do you think of Aaron Rodgers re-signing? Is that how you want to phrase it?
Well, he restructured his deal, got an extra year, I think, and is taking less money this year, I think, presumably, so that they can upgrade the offensive line to keep him upright.
Okay.
Why do I say that? Well, there's this team in Western New York. You may have heard of them, the Buffalo Bills. They have a defensive line that includes one Matt Milano. What did Matt Milano do last year to the Jets quarterback? Folded him up like a cheap suitcase. So I'm sure that, Mr. Rogers does not want to become a piece of origami. Yeah. So he's like, okay, look, upgrade the offensive line. I don't want Matt Milano to hit me. Because at his advanced age, he would fold, and go snap.
Right.
Yep. And I was saying at the end of last season, because he used to play for my team, I'm like, dude, just retire already. Like the way he was playing all seasons, like he just wants to retire. But then he gets traded to the Jets. I'm like, not retirement,
no.
But okay.
A lot of these big stars, I mean, we see it with Tom Brady. They'll just choose football over everything else.
But then there are those who do choose to walk away. Mm-hmm. You may not have seen this news, but Patrice Bergeron of the Boston Bruins called it a career after 19 years.
Wow.
So he's walking away, which of course leaves Boston fans going, who's going to be the captain now? Some hockey pundits are saying, and it makes me gag to even mention this, Brad Marchand is the captain. I'm sorry, but if the little rat gets the C on his jersey, that's just another reason for me to hate Boston. I'm sorry. Yeah. I mean, the mad licker that he is, I don't think he fits the Boston image, but, they will do what they will do.
Yeah. But let's see. What is your opinion of the Golden Knights? And now we're asking for, I guess we're placing some bets. So what do you think of the Golden Knights?
Well, let's put it this way. They finally won the trophy in only 6 years. But basically they did it by the most mercurial method possible. Now, will this influence other NHL GMs to do the same thing? I.e. drop players at the drop of a hat, and basically, fan loyalty. No, we want the trophy. Who knows? I mean, I know for a fact that the Leafs have put Matt Murray, their oft injured goaltender, on the long-term injury reserve, or as it's jokingly known in Toronto, Robida Island, referring to the fact that basically at one point the team put a player on long-term injury reserve when the player was like, no, I want to play. No, you're going on long-term injury reserve. Shut up and take your money. So it's like, okay, let's see now if this works. It could blow up in your face, but we'll see.
Just reading some interesting news from Japan. Well, we have a new sumo ozeki, if you follow professional sumo. And he is the nephew of a former wrestler who was a yokozuna. So this wrestler's name is Hoshoryu. He is from Mongolia. A lot of sumo wrestlers from Mongolia do very well in Japan and move up the rankings, and that's because sumo is akin to one of their national sports, I guess. It's the same way that they fight in their national sport. So now Hoshoryu is going to be an ozeki for the next tournament, which will happen in September. And the reason I bring that up is we'll have to introduce Nef into sumo replays, because the second half of the tournament in September, mark it down, Nef.
Okay.
Yay, Hoshoryu. So Bree and I have been following this a lot, and really, really excited. So we're looking forward to see. I think this sumo tournament that just passed, if Bree was with us, I'm sure she could back me up on this. But no, it's been one of the most interesting and most exciting sumo tournaments we've seen in a long time. We had the top-ranked yokozuna quit after a few days because of knee trouble. A few others had to withdraw. So we're down to 3 wrestlers entering the final day of the tournament, tied with 11 wins, and the possibility that there could be a playoff. So the way the matches were structured, Chaos is here. Okay, bye.
He's home from his wrestling training.
Hello, Chaos. Welcome. Please stick around. We're talking about sumo and the return of the Nef. So there is a 3-way playoff, 3-way tie, and a playoff is triggered the way that the rankings of the matches are determined. We have Hoshoryu going against a 19-year-old who's in the top division called Hakuoho. He was recruited by another former yokozuna, and I would argue perhaps one of the greatest sumo wrestlers of all time, Hakuho, who now has inherited his own stable, and he has been very active in recruiting top talent. So Hakuoho is a 19-year-old who won the corporate yokozuna championship in, I believe, university, because he was university or high school. I forget how it works. But if you win one of the amateur sumo titles as a high school or university student, you get to kind of spring over other people who are entering the sumo world, and you start at a higher rank. So this is what happened with Ochiai. He began, I want to say, was it January or was it March? And yes, this is only like his 4th tournament, and now he's in the top division, and now with everybody withdrawing, the top ones withdrawing, and him winning all these matches, now he's in a share of the lead. It was amazing to see Hoshoryu's Hakuoho's performance. I'm confusing Hakuoko and Hoshoryu. They almost have the same name. but it was Hoshoryu who beat Hakuoho. So he gets into a playoff with another sumo wrestler, and then he wins the playoff. Hoshoryu's crying when he leaves the ring and goes away because he's won his first top division tournament, and he's won 33 matches in the last 3 tournaments at his rank, which means that's a sort of de facto, if you will, Ozeki promotion. No, not your kind of wrestling, Chaos. No, this is sumo wrestling. But no, I think the September tournament's going to be Ochiai Hakuoho, a 19-year-old that was promoted up from the outside through college competitions. Exactly. So that was his old, I believe his real name is Tetsuya Ochiai. And normally when you start in sumo, you'll either take a name or you'll keep whatever is your family name. So he elevated through the rankings so well that Hakuho, the stable master, Miyagino, he said he didn't have time to think of a name for him. So the name that he chose has a specific meaning, but it's similar to what his once was. So his was Hakuho, and this wrestler is Hakuoho. So very interesting to see, very dynamic sumo tournament, and I can't wait to see what happens in September. And yes, Nef, we will thoroughly grill you, and who knows, maybe one night we stay up at like 2 or 3 in the morning, try to hack into the Japan stream of the live sumo matches, and we'll see what you think.
Okay, when you said grill me, I'm like, no, grilling? No, I've had too many, I have too many grill marks on me already, including the marks from surgery. Thank you.
But Mika, tell your partner about sumo, and make sure he watches one of the popular YouTube channels out there is Sumo Primetime.
Okay.
Sumo Primetime is an official English language channel from the Japan Sumo Association, and it's hosted by Hiro Morita, who is English-speaking news presenter. He's Japanese, and he's a big fan of sumo. He even does shows sumo exercises that you can watch on NHK On Demand, too. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I will totally have him check it out. We're about to go to a convention this weekend, so we'll see how much we can catch up and see if we can't keep up with the September tournament.
So, yeah, real quick, Mika, this was a big, I know you mentioned this before, but it was a big decision for you to go to the convention you're going to this weekend as opposed to another convention that's happening.
Yeah, so this was a problem last year too, but we ended up going to Otakon last year. This year, they ended up, Otakon and GalaxyCon Raleigh ended up on the same dates again. So we kind of had to juggle a decision for months to figure out which one we were going to go to. We ended up choosing GalaxyCon Raleigh this year just because there are a lot of celebrities. SAG strike aside, they are still attending. The panels are going to be differently structured. They're not attendees aren't going to be able to ask the questions at panels. They're taking submissions before the convention just so they can weed out and make sure no questions about past, present, or future projects pop in to these Q&As.
Right.
Because they can't, because the guests can't talk about it. The celebrities can't talk about it.
Right.
But because of at the time, all of the big name actors and a lot of the wrestlers that Chaos grew up with and admires are going to be at this convention. He's got 3 that he's already excited to meet. So we decided, okay, let's go to GalaxyCon. We buy our tickets. We're all set. Beginning of this month, Otakon decides to drop a bombshell announcement on me, basically, because I had already bought my tickets to GalaxyCon, and Otakon is doing a 40th anniversary event for the Macross series. And they're going to have a museum displaying, and I think they're going to have like I don't think it's a life-size Valkyrie, but it's going to be big and it's going to be available for photo ops.
Oh boy.
They've got, I think, a director of the Macross series coming as a guest.
Right.
And I can only imagine that there's going to be some industry announcements. Like Right Stuff Anime is going to announce releases of Macross 7, of Macross Frontier, Macross Delta, the series of Macrosses that we never saw.
Wow.
Because what we originally ended up with was part of Robotech. And now licensing has changed, and we can see all of the subsequent Macross series in the US.
Yeah.
Which all of the older otaku that I have talked to, including one of my friends, is very, very excited to be able to legally, I'm going to say legally, because we had our ways when these series came out, be able to legally see Macross 7 in its entirety, see Macross Frontier, see the Macross Frontier movies, see everything related to Macross Delta.
Yeah.
So I'm very bummed out that I can't be up at Otakon, so much so that I have asked friends to take pictures for me.
Oh, man.
And I'm going to live vicariously through them.
But well, you made the call. You go into RallyCon. Can you tell us what your cosplay plans are?
I'm not cosplaying from anime.
Okay.
I am actually going to be premiering 2 new costumes.
Okay.
I am bringing Yuna from Final Fantasy X. I know we've been playing Final Fantasy 13 on stream prior to Nef's return.
Mm-hmm.
But I will have Yuna from Final Fantasy X with me, her summoner outfit from the first game.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to see if, with all of my prep, if I'd have time to learn her sending dance for a really cool video to put on my social media, but I haven't had time to really watch the video in full, besides me playing through that cut and getting to that cutscene in my own replay of the game. So I don't think that's going to happen right now. It'll happen eventually, just I've got to practice.
All right.
And I will also be cosplaying from a web series called Critical Role. It is a D&D. It's basically a D&D session.
Heard of it, yeah.
And they're on their 3rd campaign, as Siri tells me that they didn't understand what I said. I will be cosplaying from their 2nd campaign, a tiefling cleric named Jester Lavore.
I've heard of Jester. We had
yes.
I know a few Sarah cosplayers have also cosplayed Jester.
Yes, so I am going to be cosplaying her 2nd outfit because every time I was like looking for the first outfit to order, I didn't like how they made the cape. So I said, you know what? I will make that version of the costume later down the road. Let me get the 2nd one. And I made a tail to go with it. I 3D printed horns for my for a headband that I made. And my friend is going to be cosplaying Molly Mock, the tiefling blood hunter that is there in the very beginning of the campaign. No spoilers. Even though that campaign's been long done with, I just got past the point of spoilers with that character, so I don't want to spoil for anyone trying to catch up. But it's gonna be a fun venture this time because that's full face paint. Like we have to make ourselves blue and purple. Luckily luckily cosplay has come a long way to where we can wear leotards and gloves and tights to match the color as close as possible with what our face and neck are gonna have.
Right.
So it's gonna look amazing. We're gonna look awesome.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing it. Definitely.
Yeah, we'll definitely have some pictures going of us. We'll have some TikToks popping up, I'm sure, because we've got a lot. We've been saving sounds just because we're going to be in that costume all day Saturday, and we're just going to try to shoot and get all of our TikToks done in one fell swoop, so we don't have to put the face paint on and on a non-convention weekend.
Yep. So speaking of cosplays and costuming and whatnot, a big project that we're starting on for this September, and Mika's going to help us out with this as well. Fashion Week. You excited with Fashion Week, Mika?
I am excited with Fashion Week. I am kind of researching what kind of stuff I can, what kind of other outfits I can do. I love my dress that I wore for the Umemi shoot we did.
Yes.
But I'm not going to wear that one again if I can, because my Sarah wig is buried somewhere because I've been cosplaying Umemi more.
Right. I gotta post more of those pictures, by the way. That'll happen soon.
Yeah. So once I find, I probably have a nice dress that once I find my Sarah wig, it'll go really well with Sarah. And then I'll get together with my photographer friend and get some new photos of her done, or I'll give Chaos my iPhone because my phone can actually take really good pictures.
Yes.
That I can just put on my computer to edit. And get some really nice Fashion Week pictures of either of our mascots.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to it. So, Fashion Week, we're going to be doing collaborations with many artists that we've worked with in the past, and also some cosplayers are jumping in. And we're going to time all these posts portraying Umemi and Sarah in different situations. And thank you for the mascot switch. So portrayed in different situations, and we are going to time it to New York Fashion Week, which I believe is in the second week of September, a few days after Labor Day, I think. Whatever that week is, I think it's from a Thursday to a Wednesday or something like that. But in that period of time, we're going to time all of these posts. We already have some artwork. As a matter of fact, as we were speaking just now, I think Brenny from Mexico, who has a wonderful following, one of the true art influencers because of her 80s and 90s aesthetic. She just finished a 1990s clothing rendition of Sarah and Umemi.
Oh, I can't wait. I saw the line art for it. I'm like, oh yay! I saw the previews.
I'm gonna take a look at it when we're done here. But yeah, really looking forward to that and working with all the artists and cosplayers. We have an idea that I'm going to send to Daphne here in just a little bit about an idea, and I'm keeping track about all what's going on in a private Discord, so I don't kind of lose sight or lose track of what's going on. So please look forward to that with our mascots. Nef, we're getting close to when we have to say goodbye for now. Anything else you'd like to add?
Well, like I said, it's great to be back. It's great to be, sprung from the rehab center. There's still work to do. I will tell you that I am doing on my own about 3 hours of physio a day just so that the shoulder doesn't freeze up.
Oh, wow.
And I'm trying to arrange a bit more because of issues like right now. For example, I can move the arm in certain ways, but I've got no strength behind it. Like, for example, if I try to lift something with my left arm, no, it doesn't happen. So yeah, there's still a bit of recovery to do before I think about, heading back to the work situation. But like I said, I'm keeping at it. I'm glad to be back here. It helps take my mind off the fact that, my day basically begins with pills, ends with pills, and in the middle it's just pain.
Yeah. But it's going to be a nice and easy process, Nef, and we wish you the best with that. I will also say that this week I actually went up and went down because the office is south of me. Went down to see the doctor who performed my hip replacement surgery. It was time for my 1-year follow-up almost because we're approaching the 1-year anniversary. You want to call it that? And
happy anniversary?
I don't know. But no, the offices were very expansive, very busy, but they moved people through. And I was seen by several people. Walked into another room, did the X-ray with my pants on. So it's interesting to see other things in the X-ray picture when I get it.
I'm sort of glad you specified. On the other hand, I'm going, what?
And then the doctor comes in, everything looks good. I will do another follow-up. If I go by his schedule, I will do another follow-up in a year. And then subsequent follow-ups will be every 5 years. Because I guess the technology has advanced so well in hip replacement that it doesn't need to be checked that often. And then, what if they check it and then they say, it looks like we may have to switch things out, then I'll deal with it when that happens, I guess. So.
And I say this only because I've had a partial myself. After the last follow-up, they've never contacted me. I've had no follow-ups whatsoever. That's been multiple years now. I'm going, well, I guess if I hear a snap one day and I fall over, I know I'm getting a follow-up at that point.
I mean, I'd be happy. I'd be happy every year just going and checking to see how it is. But they say every 5 years, then.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I'm going to have to do a check in September myself for the shoulder. The first check I did, they said, yeah, the implant moved 1 millimeter, which kind of got me going, uh-oh. Second time, they said, nope, everything's stable. So let's see what happens in September. If they say, yep, everything's stable, then I'm pretty much assured that, short of me doing something, foolish, I should be fine.
Yep.
But if they say, we might have to go back in there, I'm going to be like, you're not telling me this. I don't want to hear this. I do not want to hear this. Because I really don't want to go back and have to meet up with Johnny Debris for another 90 days.
Hopefully, as the summer weeks go by, we'll try to do some more streams. We tried to do Ace Attorney Chronicles. Objection. Apparently, we ran into some problems because the software was acting up on my laptop. So apparently, Ace Attorney Chronicles pushed out some sort of update, and I read that this update was supposed to break a popular mod that was supposed to give the original Japanese language gameplay or something like that and increase the frame rate. I don't remember too much the specifics, but even playing with various different settings, the software was going okay into the streaming software that I use. But the problem is that when I stream with a group, I stream whatever I'm playing into the Discord. And we had problems with that where the screen was just flickering randomly. Of course, when I stream something else like Flight Simulator or another game or Jackbox, which is eventually what we ended up doing on Monday, everything was fine. No drop frames on Discord. And in fact, here we haven't had too many drop frames on Twitch either. A few dropped frames are to be expected, but no, we had no other problems. The only problem was with Great Ace Attorney Chronicles software. So I don't know exactly what happened, but Nef, I'm afraid we're in agreement that unless we can find a solution, we will have to adjourn this again until September or October, depending on when we can get back to it when I'm back home.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. When you're speaking about internet, I'll just make this a quick story.
Yeah.
While I was away, they they installed fiber optic cable throughout the building. And what they did in my unit specifically, when I came home, I came home to my audio system partially disassembled, and the hole that I used to have for my passing through an Ethernet cable from my computer room to my living room was gone. In its place was a faceplate for the fiber optic connection. Now, as it turned out, I found out that the installer did get into my computer room, did decide, okay, I'm going to use the hole that's there, but I'll create a new hole and hope he doesn't notice. Except there were two problems with that. Number one, the property manager came into my unit, saw the shavings from the hole being drilled. And number two, and this was very telling, the security camera that I had set up and pointed at the front door stopped recording the very day they came in to do the work. Luckily for me, my building was in the middle of renovating the lobby, and they had an IT guy there, and they asked him to come upstairs to take a look, and they managed to get the security camera back up and running. But it's like, and the thing is, I wasn't the only one that apparently this installer who was a subcontractor. And that's the problem. It's a subcontractor who basically was very rude, showed up at my door initially at 9 a.m. without calling first while I was in the middle of doing my physio, so that was fun. But again, insisted that the hole had always been, was there, where it wasn't. And it's like, yeah, no. So let's just say there's going to be a very nasty letter written by our property management company saying, I don't want this guy anywhere near our building.
Oh, boy. Oh, yeah. Sometimes you run into shady characters like that, especially, when they know you're not around and stuff, and they don't put anything back either.
Yeah, and that was the big problem, because while I could put the speaker back where it should be, roughly, the problem for me was the subwoofer. You know the size of the subwoofer I'm talking about, JR. We're not talking about a tiny little thing. I eventually ended up physically kicking it back into position. Luckily, I didn't break any toes. But with my luck, with my luck, I probably would have broken a toe or two. But it was like, till I get somebody to actually do something right. Yeah. It was just like, no, I'll just kick it back in position and hope I don't damage anything.
Well, if we decide to do one or two more podcasts while I'm up here, then we'll follow up and see, how you've readjusted to life back in the Nef cave, if you will.
Yeah, and the curious thing will be that at some point, perhaps, I will be upgrading my connection from DSL to the fiber optic cable that they've installed.
Yeah.
Which will be interesting because the slowest speed they offer on fiber is, I think, 500.
That'll do.
If they give me a deal on a gig up and down, I'll take that.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Definitely exciting times, and I want to welcome Nef back to our streams again. And also thank Mika for coming in to join us as well. Mika, it was a pleasure for us, and we thank you once again for joining us on short notice.
Anytime.
Yep. And I don't know if Bree is available to talk right now, but if not, we'll just go ahead and close the show. Remember that we'll be posting updates on our Discord about when we're going to be doing future shows. And that, I think, will take us, again, Nef, you don't have a slate this time because we have to make a few changes. So see if you can recite the closing commentary from memory.
Oh, this is a challenge. If you have any questions, concerns, compliments, or complaints about this podcast or anything you see on our Discord server, drop us a line at extremeanimeradio@gmail.com. If you want to follow up with us on social media, go to linktree.com/anime radio. There you'll find our Facebook account, our Instagram account, our Discord server, and our Twitter/X/Ding Dong DeCarlos home for the insane.
Now we
And
also
don't forget,
have.
and don't forget, archived version of this podcast will be available on Spotify or your favorite streaming platform shortly.
Yes, hopefully, I don't know when I'll be able to get around to that. I also have to add that we are on Threads. So if you want to go to Threads, we are at Extreme Anime Radio, which is the same of our Instagram handle. And Bree has a statement. I didn't hear a good way to slide in, but I'm here. It is good to see Nef. So that's what she said. We have a minute, Bree. If you want to slide in now, it's fine. It's up to you. Give her a second. But if not, we'll go ahead and wrap up the show. The next thing I think we have to do, Nef, at some point is get my Elgato out, hook up my Nintendo Switch, and see how you do with the new Mario Kart courses.
I will say I have had some exposure to new courses with another group that I play regularly Mario Kart with. Tonight they're playing Smash, so I don't play Smash anyway. At least not yet. I have to figure out if there's a way to play Smash with a one-handed controller. I gotta think this through. Speaking of controllers, and we'll talk about this next time. When PlayStation finally admits that there are disabled gamers, we'll talk about that next time.
Ooh. There was I'll shoot this out real quick before we finish. So I was doing a little bit of gameplay with a few others, the new courses the other day. And we made the suggestion. This would probably have to wait until I get home because I don't know where I'd be able to sit all this time. Should we do a Mario Kart marathon with all the available courses?
Ooh.
Now, all the available courses right now, we're up to 40 odd courses, are we?
So I don't know, but there's still 8 more to come, right?
Oh, if there are 8 more to come. Yeah, if there are 8 more to come, then we're at 40 right now, I think.
Yeah. So
okay,
48, and that will be it. This is it. The last wave they put out is going to be the final one.
Yeah, and then probably shortly thereafter they announce the Switch's successor.
Well, interesting.
Could be. I don't have any knowledge, but I suspect strongly that Nintendo's eventually going to have to, now that there are other handheld, competitors in the market, even though they're not quite as portable as, they claim to be because their battery life isn't great. But I think it's going to spur Nintendo to say, if we want to keep this cow, giving us milk, we're going to have to, make a new side of beef, if you know what I mean.
Well, but yes, Mika, what do you think about this prospect?
I like it. I like it. I'm gonna have to practice. I haven't played any of the new maps, any of the new tracks yet. But yeah, I like the concept of it.
I don't know if we could do one like 40 or 48 race series. Probably our bladders will take a toll on that one, I think.
Yeah.
I was going to say a 40 race series in one sitting. No, that's not happening.
We could do we could do 4 of 8 or 8 of 8 or something like that if we wanted to do it that way.
Well, or what we do 8 courses, and then we have an intermission, so to speak.
Yeah, have scheduled breaks is what you're saying.
Everybody except one person, and then the next 8, and then that person, along with the others, gets a break. And
Interesting.
Somebody else could do that.
All right.
Yeah.
We can do a little. We'll put together like standings and our own standings and stuff.
Great. But that means who's Mike Joy? Who's Daryl Waltrip? Actually, no. That would mean you're Mike. You're Mike Joy. I'm Daryl Waltrip. Oh God.
We'll just get Keiichi-san. He can do the commentary. Right? All right.
He could probably do the right twang.
We have all these evil ideas. All right, folks. We thank you so much for tuning in to the return of the Nef. And we will close things out now once again. Follow us on social media for all the latest updates, especially our Discord. The link to our Discord is at linktree.com/anime radio. So until we see you next time on a stream for, and Calda says boogity, boogity, boogity. For Mika and for Nef and for Bree, who's also joined us tonight, I'm JR. Thank you for watching and listening, and remember,
keep on looking out for the Extreme Twitch streams, and I'm back. We'll see you next time.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.